Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having a great day. As always, this must be said. The opinions expressed in this video are my own and should not, under any circumstances, be taken as legal, tax, and or investment advice. It is always imperative to do your own research, especially if you are in the cryptocurrency game, as the coins can sometimes dramatically go up and down. This is going to be a video where I talk about the future prospects of the cryptocurrency platform known as Ethereum, and sometimes the token is sometimes referred to simply as Ether. I will use them interchangeably simply because you will know exactly what I'm talking about when I refer to Ethereum. So it'll be a blend of where we are, where we've come from at the beginning, or rather even sometime in 2018, and kind of where the Ethereum platform is going to be going. Please make sure to remember that these are my opinions alone. It's just me talking on here, no one else in the room with me. So without further ado, let's kind of jump right into it. Ethereum has had a very interesting year, to say the least. In 2017, a lot of people believed for quite some time that we were going to have a very good 2018 for the Ethereum project. And lo and behold, for those who are unaware, Ethereum has not aged that well, I can kind of say. At the end of 2017, Ethereum's price rose to, I believe, $1,400 US. And since then, it's been an accumulation of a number of things which I'm going to go over, and it kind of all ties together to kind of give you an understanding of why I have this idea about Ethereum. Ethereum is one of my favorite projects out there. It has been for quite some time. So this is not going to be but if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, I try to remain as center as possible. I can be completely in love with the project. I can love everything that they do, but I still make sure to mention the things that are negative about the project. So I try not to be too far on one side, but to kind of give you the everything. Since a couple of years now, we've had news that the Ethereum project was supposed to have a number of upgrades. The main one that we're going to focus on, at least for right now, is Constantinople. There are multiple other upgrades that the Ethereum network should have had. And we had news earlier this year that Constantinople wasn't going to activate on the network until the end of 2018. As it appears right now, at the time of me making this video, the beginning of 2019 is expected to be the time when Constantinople is going to be laid or activated on top of the Ethereum platform. With Constantinople comes the framework or the groundwork or the laying of foundation for the other upgrades that we are supposed to have on the platform. Part of the issue is that we have with Ethereum right now, and why I think Ethereum has been very sluggish, is that the upgrades that we are talking about right now should have happened on Ethereum, or rather they were spoken about on Ethereum around 2016. And you may notice that that is a bit of a gap. When we hear about projects or upgrades from other projects, it typically comes down to, they tell us we're going to get something. They say, you know, we'll have this in about 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 5.5 months. That time frame ends up coming around, maybe give or take a couple of weeks, and then it ends up being activated. But what Ethereum has right now is that what I myself believe a large part of it was, and I've said this before in other videos, I believe that the people from the Ethereum project, not that they were lazy. I think everyone became very comfortable in 2017 because of the price risings. There was actually a time, for those who don't know, I'm not sure if it was 2017, like early 2017 or maybe late 2016, where Ethereum was having an issue where the price of the coin wasn't going up at all. And there was rumors floating around that the Ethereum platform would actually have to shut down because they didn't have the funding anymore. And then lo and behold, prices started to go up, and all those news that we had about Ethereum ending completely disappeared. But in the middle of all of that, in 2017, as prices were rising, there wasn't much attention paid, at least in my opinion, paid to the actual things that should have been created or upgraded on the network. Is it just 2018 has been a very awkward year. At the moment, it stands that we think or have been told that the beginning of 2019 is when we're going to have the Constantinople thing launched on top of the platform, and therefore we will be able to kind of glide into the other updates. Casper, or the proof of stake protocol, I'm not going to go into it. For those who are new, pretty much it goes from, if you've ever watched people talk about Bitcoin mining and they have all those computers, that's called proof of work. Proof of stake is pretty much where you just use like a normal laptop, and you just have to show, you have to stake your claim in the network in order to be able to create new cryptocurrencies. This has been spoken about once again since 2016 as well. 2017, we thought we were going to get Casper, and we also thought we were going to get a couple of other upgrades. And now the time frame that we have as it stands potentially is sometime between 2019 and 2020. Now, these are once again estimates, which also leads us to another issue, because a lot of the Ethereum was the golden child of the cryptocurrency space for quite a long time. The news or the information that we had, or the possibility or the thinking was that if Ethereum continued to have this success that it had the previous years, it would eventually do something called the flippening, and it would flip places with Bitcoin and therefore become the number one coin. Part of the issue is that the news that we were getting about Ethereum potentially flipping Bitcoin came from the fact that Ethereum was going to have all of these upgrades, which at the moment it does not. And even in 2019, a lot of them are looking a bit iffy. Constantinople should hopefully happen. Casper is looking like it's going to happen. And on top of the sharding, for those who don't know as well, is pretty much like a Ethereum is trying to make their platform quicker. They're trying to make transactions a lot faster. They're also trying to make it so that not everything has to run through the main chain, that everything can just work a bit smoother, because the point of the Ethereum platform isn't just like how Bitcoin is right now, where you just are sending payments back and forth. It's kind of, Ethereum was touted as the next internet, whether you want to believe that or not, especially since 2018, the prices has been going down. And we just don't see this kind of enthusiasm around the Ethereum project before, like I saw many moons ago. This was thought to be it. Like, people thought that if there was any contender to Bitcoin, it was going to be Ethereum, because of all the things that we had been told about a couple of years ago. And now it looks like they are constantly being pushed back. Like, if we're talking realistic in like a very real way, if you kind of want to say that, especially if this video is about 2019 and we have information that some of the updates might not come until after 2020 or potentially 2021, that is a bit troubling for the potential price growth and therefore maybe future of the Ethereum platform being in the lead at least. One of the other things that we had was information about something called Plasma. Plasma, put simply, is like the Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin, wherein you have super fast, mega awesome, quick transactions, low cost, everything is great, everything is wonderful, because Ethereum has set itself up as this platform where everything can be built on top of it. And that has become a major issue, because in 2017, if you do or do not remember our fresher memory, everyone and their mother was building on top of the Ethereum platform. There were, I'm pretty sure that hundreds of different coins and ICOs and dApps and stuff like that, decentralized applications, were being built on top of Ethereum, because we were told that we were going to have Constantinople, that we were going to have Casper, and that we were going to have Plasma. And Plasma was going to allow the Ethereum platform to be able to have over 1 million transactions per second. Vitalik Buterin said during 2018 during an interview that he believed that once the other implementations had been laid on top of the Ethereum network, Ethereum would then, plus Plasma, be able to handle potentially, his words, around 100 million transactions per second. Part of the problem is none of that happened in 2018. There was also a situation where earlier we found out that they tried to have Constantinople on the actual network by the end of this year, 2018. Lo and behold, also did not end up happening. And this is kind of, I don't want to say like the downfall of Ethereum, but this is why a large part of people believe that the prices have been falling down and people have been losing faith in the platform. So on top of this as well, something else that was also potentially supposed to be around for the 2018 timeframe was some type of privacy or privacy layers on top of the Ethereum platform, which would allow transactions to pretty much be confidential or private as they're going across the cryptoverse, something that's very important to a lot of people. They thought this was going to end up happening. as it stands right now, if I'm not mistaken, I think we have around 3 or 4 different companies, startups, organizations, the coders, whatever you kind of want to call, different groups of people who are trying to place these things on top of the network or try to have certain transactions have these features. This is also something that has not been activated on the network. If you've been paying attention, you kind of see where this is all going. We've had a lot of information about what was supposed to happen to Ethereum in 2018 and 2019 at the beginning of this year. Looked like it was going to be absolutely phenomenal for the Ethereum platform. On the topic of things that don't really age well, you can see this says April 30th for those who aren't looking at the screen. April 30th, 2018. There were a lot of articles floating information around like this. It says that they think that analysts are saying that Ethereum could hit $2,500 per coin in 2018. This was once again because we were told that Ethereum was going to have all of these other upgrades and updates on their platform. And realistically, if we ever got into it, so part of the thing that we had as well is that when you have so many things built on top of your platform, the Ethereum platform itself started to slow down because everyone was throwing as much attention to Ethereum as possible and building everything on top of it because everyone believed that Ethereum was going to be the immediate future, not the 2019 future, not the 2020 future, but the right now future where we can build everything on top of it. And this is why we were getting these crazy price predictions. I think the craziest one that I may have seen for Ethereum in 2018 was around $4,000 per coin. And I mean, I was kind of, I wanted to believe. There was definitely a point where I thought, especially around here, that we could definitely get back to it. But Ethereum has slid down, fallen down from where it was once before. On top of this as well, tying into the end of 2018, and this also ties almost directly, I want to say, into potentially the first 3 months, if not more, of 2019, when people were building stuff on top of the Ethereum platform. In 2017 and I guess maybe the beginning of 2018, they were launching their platforms and denominating the funding for their platforms in Ether or Ethereum. And as the prices of everything have gone down, the 100 and so crypto projects that had all this Ethereum have started to sell off their Ethereum because they needed to pay for the electricity cost, to pay for their employees, to pay for the project itself, to keep everything afloat. And this is also another reason why the price of Ethereum has fallen down. It is my prediction, and this also ties into the other news that we've been getting simply before about the entire platform, is that there's actually a lot of Ethereum left over in these former ICO projects who are trying to launch their other cryptocurrencies on top of the Ethereum platform, and they may potentially have millions, don't quote me on that exact number, but it's believed that there are millions of Ethereum floating around for these ICO projects, and they may continue to try and dump their Ethereum once prices get even remotely to where they were before, which is not good. That means that we may have a situation where Ethereum can't properly recover for quite some time. And it's looking like this is kind of where 2019 is going. Once again, all of my opinions, no one else's. I give you the information from what we have gathered. This is the entirety, more or less, as we're almost near the end of 2018. I'm trying to give you the entirety of the information from 2018 to give you my predictions and or thoughts of exactly where Ethereum is going. On top of this as well, in 2018, a lot of the coins that were built on top of Ethereum in 2017 started to hatch and come to life, and they are direct competitors to the Ethereum platform. What we have that's quite interesting is that a lot of them launched around summertime. I think it was anywhere from May, June, July, May, not even August. It was just a 3-month time frame, May, June, July, where all these different platforms like Tron and EOS and so were all launching. And what's been happening is that as these platforms are actually quicker than Ethereum, we've seen a huge movement of dApps or decentralized apps, and also people who are trying to build ICOs on top of Ethereum. They're simply moving to other platforms, which is also, once again, I mean, I don't mean to make this a negative video, but Ethereum has not had a good year. They've desperately tried, I think, to constantly bring themselves back up. A lot of the stuff that we've seen, at least in my opinion, from 2018, when you look at the actual old videos, or even like if you paid attention to them as they were coming out from the news from the Ethereum team, there weren't like a lot of like internal struggles, but it was always like, we're working on it. We're working on it. Yeah, we're going to work on it. And it's like everyone became a little fatigued, I guess, with the we're working on it. We're definitely going to do it, especially because a lot of this stuff has been spoken about for around 2 years, 2.5 years, that we were going to have this on the network. And when we don't have it, and other platforms like Tron start launching, and also we get news that like Tron is actually doing more daily transactions for not even just like this. This is just something that came out a couple of months ago as well. A lot of new apps and gambling dApps and stuff like that have been coming out on the Tron platform. And they've been completely exceeding everything that Ethereum is even able to do on a normal basis. Once again, this is just kind of showing how 2018 formed, what 2018 was. And that's not to say that Ethereum can't and won't come back sometime in 2019. But as of right now, it's being battered. Like, it's being hit from all sides. A lot of the people who we saw who were very pro Ethereum and they thought Ethereum was going to be the best new thing, a lot of them have fallen silent. Whether that is other cryptocurrency channels or other people who used to go into CNBC or Fox News or CNN or any other place you get your traditional financial news when they have their cryptocurrency segments, you may have noticed there's a bit of a hushed tone. No one really talks about Ethereum anymore. The news simply floats around Bitcoin, or sometimes the host will ask, what do you think about other altcoins? And they'll almost always, at least right now, skip over Ethereum. So I don't know if they're just trying to make it stay out of the negative news press or exactly what it is. EOS, for those who don't know, is also another major contender to the Ethereum platform. What we've seen, and I've definitely noticed it over the course of 2018 as prices have gone down and down and down and down and down, whenever we get a situation where Ethereum is actually going up in price, EOS tends to sometimes triple or double that percentage. So if Ethereum is going up by 4%, EOS will sometimes be up around 14, 16%, somewhere around that ballpark figure. EOS is a very, very, very popular platform. And just from what I've seen in 2018 alone, I have a strong feeling that 2019 is probably going to be the battle of the altcoins. I said before in another video, I think that Bitcoin has more or less solidified itself as is going to be in the top 10 for a very long time. Whether that means it remains in the top 3, what have you, no one knows the future. But I think there's definitely going to be a bit of a power struggle. If we can get to a point in 2019 where the market is going back up and we see solid progress on things like EOS and Tron and Cardano, and Ethereum still has not implemented the other upgrades and updates to its platform, I think this is when we will see a flippening happen, and I think it'll be against Ethereum and a lot of its rivals who have been kind of going for its place, if you will. Not everything has been completely negative with Ethereum. There's something called the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. We've had news a couple of times throughout the year that major, they're major, like organizations and companies have been joining the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. The Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, I hate saying the whole thing, pretty much comes down to companies and institutions who have agreed in some capacity that they're going to come together either using the Ethereum blockchain or making sure that they are going to build on top of it, because once again, the golden child, Ethereum, in 2017 was thought to be it. So if you want the most realistic summary of that, it comes down to a lot of people didn't get into Bitcoin when Bitcoin was cheap. In 2017, one Ethereum cost around $8. By the end of the year, it was around $1,400. That said to a lot of people, this is probably our new golden child. Bitcoin was at 20,000. What else can we bet on that has an extremely bright future? And it came down to Ethereum. This is kind of how I see things, me, myself, personally. But you kind of get exactly what I'm trying to point to. And the Ethereum Alliance was formed. There's like 250 companies who have joined it. But Ethereum needs these upgrades to be able to handle the network force, the transactions going back and forth around the world. If you have a couple of hundred companies who have announced that they're going to have support for your blockchain, and it's not even like smaller companies. If you get a chance, search on the internet and type in Enterprise Ethereum Alliance partners. It's major companies, household names, things that you have in your house, things that you use on a daily basis, things you drive by, maybe you even work at. I don't know what everyone out there does. The point is, on top, so we had Hyperledger, which was great. We also had news that eBay, Foxconn, and PricewaterhouseCoopers also joined the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, which is wonderful. But on that same exact topic, it comes down to the fact that the news that we had at the beginning of 2018 from these companies who were throwing themselves at the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, we haven't really heard from many of them. And I mean, as far as if someone joins this, it's typically because they plan on doing something with Ethereum blockchain. And then as the market continues to go down and Ethereum has lost a bit of its luster, I can maybe kind of say, no one has really been coming forward talking about what they're going to do with Ethereum anymore. It's kind of come down to, and I've noticed a shift as well, and I said this in other videos, I love Ethereum, but you definitely see a shift now on television. People talk about Bitcoin. They'll mention Ripple/XRP. I'm also hearing, interestingly enough, things on CNBC where people mention the word Cardano or EOS. And I think that is a huge indication of what could possibly be the future. Don't please don't get me wrong and think that this is me like bashing Ethereum. I need you to understand, like, I was probably with Ethereum since day one. I was with Ethereum when Ethereum came out and people called Ethereum a scam. People thought that Ethereum, because I think we had like 6 coins in the market at this point, that Ethereum was an actual scam. I remember when people made fun of the way Vitalik Buterin looked, the way that he spoke. Like, I was there for the very beginnings of this. I was there listening to the conferences and trying to figure out what it was and what their entire meaningful, platform was, because up until this point, we only had cryptocurrencies as a payment method. The idea that someone was creating a decentralized platform called Ethereum that was pretty much going to be a world computer or its own internet made no sense to anyone. I've been there since the very beginning. I am obsessed with this platform. It's just looking at it from a realistic point of view, Ethereum has not had a very good year. Even though there may be spurts of good news and stuff like that, in the overall picture, Ethereum really has to get it together in the first couple of months of 2019, in my opinion, to continue to remain relevant for the longer term, if that kind of makes sense. Backed is something being launched by the people from the New York Stock Exchange / ICE, the Intercontinental Exchange, that is supposed to be happening at the beginning of 2019. And they said something a couple of weeks ago, at least at the time of me making this video, that they were thinking of the option of potentially adding other coins to their platform, which I think is a bit of a glimmer of hope for Ethereum, because as of right now, Backed is looking like it's going to be like not just a Bitcoin platform, but like as far as like the whole payment side, being able to use cryptocurrencies as a payment for things around the world. If we get some type of confirmation that the New York Stock Exchange is going to list Ethereum alongside Bitcoin for their platform, and therefore Ethereum will be able to be used as a payment method for things all around the world in many different fabulous and wonderful stores around the world, I think that'll be a huge boost to Ethereum. I think also simple things like being able to go into a store and seeing like a sticker saying we accept Bitcoin and Ethereum is a very big mental thing, because it makes you wonder what is this coin that's on par with Bitcoin? How can I get it? Why is it so valuable? And this kind of gets more people into the market. This is, I think, one of the most promising things that we have right now, besides the Constantinople, the potential for Casper, which I think would also do very well. But I think Backed at the beginning of 2019 probably has the best chances of pushing Ethereum forward. That's kind of how I at least feel about it. We also have had rumors for quite some time at this point, maybe since like summertime, that Ethereum could potentially have futures contracts either through the CBOE or any other stock exchange who's thinking about listing them. What the issue that we had in 2017 is that when we heard that Bitcoin was going to officially get Bitcoin futures, the price skyrocketed and then subsequently started falling back down because people realized that the Bitcoin's futures that were going through the thing weren't actually a physical Bitcoin, i.e. people weren't sending Bitcoin back and forth between two separate parties. They were simply finishing the contract in fiat money or US dollars. There was never any Bitcoin that was being touched. So we have a situation where if we have Ethereum futures announced, I think Ethereum will shoot up, but we need confirmation or in some way, something has to be like another 24-hour futures thing where Ethereum is going to be denominated in Ethereum and it's going to be like a physical Ethereum type thing. This is all rumors, obviously, but it would be absolutely phenomenal for Ethereum. So to kind of finish everything up, when you look around for information on Ethereum's future, it is kind of all over the place. And I'm going to be about 30,000% honest with all of you. It's very difficult to gauge a price for Ethereum in the future. For those who aren't looking at the screen, they have a lot of other analysts on moneymorning.com who have said that in 2019, they expect Ethereum to either be $360 all the way from around $550. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I've thought for quite some time that 2018 has been the work it out year, like the thing, like kind of get it together, grease up the machine type year. A lot of infrastructure has been built in the cryptocurrency space. A lot of infrastructure has been built in the financial world to accommodate cryptocurrency throughout 2018. I think we are, my opinion, overdue for a bull market, and I think that the bull market that we are going to have will push us past where we were in 2017. This is just my opinion. I think $360 to $550 is a bit low. I think if we have an Ethereum during 2019 that has no upgrades, but we still have let's say a relatively healthy bull market, I think we could easily hit around $700-800. I think us hitting $1,400 would need to be reliant on the hopes and dreams of having these upgrades over here, or Bitcoin hitting around $25,000. I think a lot of the 2017 price hype for Ethereum came from the fact, once again, that we were supposed to have seen all of these upgrades at the beginning of 2018. So if you think I'm going to bet on this coin, it's still extremely cheap, if you want to say that, in comparison to the price of Bitcoin right now. I'm going to buy a lot of it up because 2018 is going to be a monumental year for this. And then 2018 happens and none of these upgrades end up happening. And this is where things kind of go sour, if you kind of want to say it that way. I think if big IF, we have Constantinople go off without a hitch. I think if we have Casper, which is the proof of stake protocol, I think, and I'll tie it all together. If we have a bull run as well, I want to say it's probably very likely to have a $1,500 to around the $2,500 Ethereum price. A lot of other analysts out there have projected an Ethereum price of around $4,000 in 2019. Should we have a crazy bull run, I think 4,000 is incredibly optimistic. The reason why I like the idea of, and I don't know, anywhere from $1,900 to $2,500 per Ethereum sounds completely correct. But I think if we get Casper activated properly and it actually works, you actually have to, so the whole point of proof of stake on the Ethereum network is you have to prove your stake in the network, how many coins you have, and you have to stake your claim by locking these coins up in the network. It's believed that the process of people, millions of people around the world, I think the number right now is that we've been quoted, is around 32 Ethereum to be able to put inside of the Ethereum blockchain system, whatever you want to call it, and to be able to create new coins. Like, your incentive is to lock your coins up inside of it and you will be given new coins. If we have a situation where we actually get Casper and that actually comes true, and I say all you need lightly. I know Ethereum hitting $1,000 and people running to go pick up 32 of them isn't that likely for a lot of people. But you have to understand, if you can have a system where you don't need tons of mining machines, and you can pretty much just put your Ethereum onto the computer and create money seemingly out of digital thin air, I think that'll be a huge catalyst for the price of Ethereum. That's not to say that Ethereum cannot hit 4,000. I think we would need I think a lot of catalysts have to happen at the exact same time. I think we need Constantinople to go without a hitch. I think we need Casper activated and to work. I think we need it to be 32 Ethereum that actually have to be staked on the network to be able to create new Ethereum. I think we need news from the Omisego team and the Ethereum team that we are either going to have Plasma sometime at the end of 2019, which would mean that Ethereum would be able to handle 1 million transactions per second, and therefore would be able to usurp the rest of the cryptocurrency space because of how much the network could handle. And also, I guess a bull run as well would also not hurt. I'm going to say conservatively, 912, anywhere from 900 to 1200 per Ethereum. And that's me like being generous because we don't have any of the upgrades. If we do have those upgrades, a steady 2,500 to 4,000 is where I'm going to come from. I know the numbers sound a bit out there. You got to understand, last year Ethereum went from $8 to 1,400. And it's not even really, I guess you can call it hype. I guess the hype is there, but there's a lot of money behind Ethereum, and it's still, I'm sure in a lot of people's heads that Ethereum could be either more expensive than Bitcoin or could end up taking the #1 spot. No one knows the future. That's why this is my opinion, and it's always imperative that you do your own research in the cryptocurrency space. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Hope you're having a great 2019 if you're listening to this in the future. I think the Ethereum project can be very big. I think they maybe just tripped over a couple of stones. The framework is definitely there. The genius minds are definitely there to be able to implement all of these things. It's a matter now of bringing everything to the table. If Ethereum is going to be this major, incredibly awesome, cool platform that can do everything, it kind of needs to have everything built on top of it then. Thank you once again. I do appreciate all of your support. And yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. See you.